Yo, what up, man? Chris Unbias checking back in, man. Let's talk about this Norbes lawsuit. Every time I go live on YouTube, a lot of people ask me, do I feel like Norbes will win this lawsuit? Absolutely, yes, I do. I definitely feel like Norbes is going to win this lawsuit. Let me be clear. Will he get $40 million? No. Will he get half of $40 million? No. Will he get a third of $40 million? No. That's not what I mean by winning. There's many ways to win a lawsuit. He's not going to win it with that amount of money. You know what I'm saying? Definitely not. But he's definitely going to win a lawsuit. I'll tell you how much I probably think he'll get. I'll tell you how much URL probably should have paid him, you know, early on or whatever. I get into that at the end. Let me get into why I believe. You know, obviously I done been around URL a lot. I done talked to them a lot behind the scenes back in the day. Why I feel like they have an issue with Norbes. It's not the twerk situation. Let's just get that out, bro. It is not the New Jersey twerk situation. Do y'all really think, like, look at the shooter situation, look at the Norbes situation, look at all the people that they fell out with, that they build it with, you know, with Math and all these other people. Do you really think URL cares that Norbes tried to smash twerk baby mom? Like, do you really feel like they care about that? No, they don't give a shit about that, bro. They know what goes on, man. They know niggas is smashing other women and all this. They know all that kind of stuff. There's an interview online where Mav is talking about him and Beasley fell out because they smashing the same girl. Do you really think Beasley cared about that? Like, nah, Beasley trying to get his rocks off too.
Is my whole life I'm supposed to be regarded as like a dumb thug? Is that my destiny? Most of y'all want to rank me top 10 because URL neglected me. The truth is, Beasley mad because I fucked Maya and Stephanie. He was falling in love, and them bitches only wanted sex from me.
We talked about it in a battle, so they don't care about none of that. It was just a good way to say, you know what, now we can part. They don't even care about twerk. Let's just be real. They don't care about twerk. I think twerk had a GoFund for the car accident. It wasn't the GoFund wasn't set up by URL. You know, it was probably set up by either a blogger, a fan, or somebody else. It was, if I'm not mistaken, it was not set up by URL. I could be wrong. But when you are no longer hot, URL moves on past you. That is pretty much how it is in a lot of situations and how it is in business in general. You are hot. You see so many people say it in battles. What about when URL isn't fucking with you no more because you're not the hot thing? Goods just told Geechee that in the battle. When you're not hot anymore, we're moving on. They have done that with numerous proven ground people and numerous people in the battle rap community. It's not, I don't feel like it's personal. I feel like it's business at the end of the day. It's people that didn't help started URL that URL don't even really talk to like that no more. So to sit back and act like they have some deep loyalty to twerk makes no fucking sense. Just look at people's history. So it's not twerk. Let's just put that out. I feel like one of Norbes' biggest problems is he puts his foot in his mouth and he's way too outspoken. He has a problem of saying URL's private thoughts publicly. Let me just repeat that. He has a problem saying URL's private thoughts publicly. What do I mean by that? URL will say, we support battle rap. We support the culture. We want battle rap to grow. We want battle rap to expand. You know, all leagues are good. Meanwhile, they're doing events the same day as RBE. They're blocking battles. They're, you know, blocking UW battles, blocking RBE battles. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? So do you really feel like URL gives a shit about King of the Dot? No. But they'll go to a King of the Dot event. Smack's been to a couple King of the Dot events, if I'm not wrong. He hosted the Charlie Clips and Conceited battle. Publicly, you're going to show support. Like, yo, we like what they doing over there. Privately, URL always hated their URL battlers going over to King of the Dot and losing. Remember when Verb used to go over there and lose to Ilmac? This person go over there and lose. You lose, you bring your stock down, and then you come back to URL and fans don't want to fuck with you because you were kind of hot over here. You went over there, you started taking too many battles, your stock dropped, and now now you want to come back over here and your stock is down. Another thing that they didn't like with battlers going to King of the Dot is that You will charge URL $15,000 for a battle, but then you'll charge King of the Dot $5,000 for a battle. So what they looked at it is, they didn't look at it as we're the bigger league and King of the Dot is the smaller league. They looked at it as we're the black man and you're the white man. You went over to the white man and let them pay you less, but you want to tax the black man. That's one of the reasons why URL and King of the Dot don't really rock like that. Publicly they will. They'll never say nothing bad about organic. But Norbes will. It's interviews online where Norbes is just like, you know what? We ain't worried about King of the Dot. If it ain't a Smack event or a Smack don't flip the coin or Smack this, it don't matter. You can't copy respect. All King of the Dot does is book URL ballers. He's on record saying that. They used to hate the fact that he said that. Chico used to hate the fact that he said that, opened his mouth and said those things.
You feel like you put your foot in your mouth at times speaking on leagues. Like, I sometimes feel like you were loyal to a fault. So,
yeah.
Smack would say, we support the culture.
Full of shit.
No, let me finish. Smack would say, we support the culture. The culture is not just URL, even though they may internally feel that way. But let me finish the question.
Yeah.
So, outwardly, they would show support to King of the Dot and any other league that was pushing battle rap to the forefront. But then you would do an interview and say,
I give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck about King of the Dot. Were there ever conversations with you, Smack, Beasley, Chico, whoever, that they felt like you doing too much in interviews? Because I used to think you was doing too much in interviews, Norbes. I gotta be honest with you.
Yo, no, my favorite part would get a call like again, me and Chico didn't have that relationship, so Chico couldn't call me and tell me anything. You're my partner. I don't really like you. We don't fuck with each other. Bees would be the one to be like, Norbes, come on, you bug it out. But I'd laugh it off. Who cares? What are you guys so fucking scared of? You know what I'm saying? It's competition. It's fine. But, like, in terms of, you know, we had a lot of fucking conversations about shit like that. A lot of times we laugh about it. But don't sit there and think that fucking organic gives a fuck about URL and if Smack gives a fuck about organic or if RB. Like, it's not about pushing the culture. There's no fucking such thing. You know what the culture is? The culture is just take money out of your pocket for them not to look like jerk-offs and look greedy. They don't give a fuck about everybody or the culture. Smack gives a fuck about Smack. ARP cares about ARP. Organic cares about organic. I just watched Organic's last interview. He opens up the fucking the Twitch thing, right? And who the fuck's the first person you see? Drake. What does Drake say? I'm always gonna support the best battle league in the world. Mind you, fucking Drake is behind caffeine. Like, right. Come on, you're gonna sit there and fucking tell me that they give no, and organic should feel that way. I don't take. That's why I say when they get mad, I sit there like, why the fuck are you mad about what I'm gonna say? I'm just a lot better at saying it than you guys are, and I'm fucking hilarious to me at least. So when people use the culture, you guys should take it as a big fuck you when they use that, because it's a lie. There is no fucking such thing as the culture. You know what I'm saying? You love battle up, it's cool. But at the end of the day, that asshole wants it all. That asshole wants it all. And so does that asshole. So if you think that these motherfuckers give a fuck about you, you are fucking high. Listen, WCW didn't give a fuck about WWE. ECW didn't give a fuck about it. You know what Vince did? He bought all those motherfuckers to eliminate the competition. And if Smack could do that, he would definitely fucking do it. If ARP could do it, he would do it. If Organic could do it, they would do it. So whenever people use the culture, I fucking always hated that thing. I don't give a shit about none of it. It's just business. I actually genuinely love what I did. You know what I'm saying? As a competitor, I'm a competitor. You know what I'm saying? I respect the Black Mamba because he was a competitor. You know what I'm saying? On the court, fuck you. I'm the king. I don't want to be politically correct, slapping people on the asses. I don't give a fuck about what event ARP did. But you know what? He did some admirable things. I was like, oh shit, that's a dope idea. I like that. That was creative. You know what I'm saying? But what the fuck? If I could end you tomorrow, motherfucker, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't give a shit about you. You don't give a fuck if I gotta feed my daughter and my son. You know what I'm saying? It's business.
In one breath, you could say, Norbes is doing too much. Why would he say something that would create a bunch of tension amongst potential league owners? Or not potential league owners, but league owners. Another breath, you could say, I appreciate Norbes' realness. If you can say F King of the Dot behind closed doors, why are you going to act like you cool with him in public? That's fake. That's phony. So that's two ways to look at it. URL don't want to be in a spotlight. They don't want to deal with this back and forth beef. So they'll always say they have no issue with RBE, no issue with King of the Dot, no issue with Black Ice, Bullpen. Every league. They don't have no issue with them. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, they like, this motherfucking Clips battled over here, and so-and-so is battling over here, and this person battling over here. They don't like it. Other leagues have even taken away some very big matchups that URL could have done that have already taken place on other leagues. So that is one of the biggest issues URL has always had with Norbes. He opens his mouth too much and says URL's private thoughts publicly. I feel like that's the biggest issue they had with him. All the other little stuff like, oh, you take PG money under the table, or oh, you try to smash twerk bait. They don't care about that. They really don't care about that, bro. It just Norbes became expendable because Smack was the face, Beasley was like the brains, Chico was the computer guy, but Norbes had what is called replaceable talent. He wasn't special at anything in their eyes. So you may say, well, Norbes was a good recruiter. Look at all the people he found. But to them, that's not a talent. It's like, yo, we could have put a lot of people in that area and have them look through a lot of footage, and they could have found somebody that would be great on URL. That's not so much of a talent. So for them, they looked at Norbes as being expendable, and when they got P, they felt like, you know what? We can replace Norbes with P. P even felt like he could replace Norbes with himself. And eventually that's what happened. So I used to always look at Norbes and be like, yo, you really like hired your replacement. You put P on, and P ended up being the person that replaced you. So, and I know that that's a hard pill to swallow. I know dealing with this situation and talking to Norbes, he's definitely been hurt by this whole thing. But Norbes is going to win this lawsuit, bro. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons why Norbes is going to win this lawsuit. Number 1, your own words come back to bite you. There are numerous interviews online where you are saying Norbes is a part of URL. And those interviews are still up to date.
Smack and Beasley in the building, creators, founders, innovators of the whole URL TV movement. And I'm here to chop it up with them about a few things.
There's a couple of us that ain't here though, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Let me get right, you know what I mean? Shout out to Chico, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Norbes.
Those interviews are in Norbes' lawsuit. Those interviews are, I don't even know how you dispute what the hell you said. These things came out of your own mouth. In my Untold Truth, I asked Beasley, who was all part of URL?
URL consists of E. Beasley, which is myself, Smack, Chico, and Norbes.
I didn't ask him who was a sometimes partner. I didn't ask him who was a sponsor. I didn't ask him who was a hang-on person. You got a lot of people like that. At the time, you had P, you had Nunu, you had Harry. He didn't mention none of those people. He said Smack, Beasley, Chico, and Norbes.
Now, can you explain like people's roles in URL? Because I know pretty much everybody, but for the people that don't really know, like what their specific role is and what they bring to the company, like can you let people know like who is part of URL?
Right. URL consists of E. Beasley, which is myself, Smack, Chico, and Norbes. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wears different hats. Everybody does different shit. But right now, we're still a growing company.
Who would have ever thought that my Untold Truth became one of the biggest pieces in this case? That you didn't even think when I interviewed Beasley in 2015 that it would become this important in this case. But it's going to be one of the most damaging interviews that URL has to deal with. It's out of your own mouth. You acknowledge Norbes was a partner. You acknowledge it out of your own mouth. It's my Untold Truth that provided that. And my Untold Truth with Norbes that gave y'all the other version from Norbes' angle. Them Untold Truths are going to end up being one of the biggest detriments to URL. The Norbes part from the public perception, because people are looking at it like maybe Norbes got shitted on. in the Beasley interview, it's your own words. From the outside looking in, if I'm a judge, it's looking like he started this shit with y'all. That's what y'all are basically saying. The number 2 reason, you said Norbes in your counter lawsuit URL said Norbes was a consultant. That's actually one of the most ridiculous things I done heard out of this whole situation. I think anybody that is watching this video that has followed URL in any capacity already knows that Norbes was never a consultant. You already know that. He was never a consultant. So, now, can you... So a lot of people may say, well, y'all say Norbes was an owner. That's what Norbes is saying, he was an owner. But there's no contract. But verbal contracts do hold up in court.
Once a complete verbal agreement has been made between 2 parties, the contract is just as legally binding as a written contract.
They're a little bit harder to prove than obviously written contracts, but there is a such thing as verbal contracts. So I don't have to have on paper that I'm a partner. You're saying it out of your own mouth in blogs. So to somebody, they'll say, well, you're going to have to prove that you're a partner, Norbes. But look what you're saying I am. You're saying I'm a consultant. Why nobody asking this question right here? Can URL actually prove that Norbes is a consultant? What do they have to prove? Norbes never signed any paperwork saying he's a consultant. Let me tell you what a consultant is. A consultant is, people have hit me up and asked me, how do I get in the trucking and cleaning business? I'm even willing to pay you for your advice or your expertise. So basically, you want me to consult you. You want to pay me to explain to you how to get into this service. That's what some people wrote me. But I would never charge you for that anyway, because I want to help y'all get to where y'all want to go. But this is what people have asked me. So you basically want to consult with me and give you some expertise. Norbes has paperwork. He has receipts of money that he put into URL events. But remember, he was a consultant. Why would I put any money into your trucking or cleaning business? If me and Norbes are the same thing, we're both consulting. Why would I? A consultant never puts up any money. I'm not putting up any money by helping you with your trucking company. You're going to pay me. I'm going to tell you about the trucking business, and you're going to invest your own money. I'm not giving you any money. So one thing that you got to explain is if Norbes is a consultant, first of all, how can you prove that? There's no paperwork that ever said he signed on to be a consultant. You don't have that paperwork. So a lot of people run around like, oh, Norbes got to prove he's an owner. No, you got to prove he's a consultant. And you're not going to be able to do that either. There's no verbal contract that he's a consultant. That doesn't exist. So that's not going to be the case. So for me, I don't even feel like that's a realistic angle that you can even win in court. I feel like that's absolutely ridiculous what they're trying to do with the whole consultant thing. Ridiculous. So then the fact that he put money in. Not only did he put money in, do you know him and Gerald McCoy are like this? Gerald McCoy played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for many years. He might even be going in the Hall of Fame. He definitely was a multi-year Pro Bowler. They were like this. Gerald McCoy sponsored some smack volumes. Why is Gerald McCoy putting money in if Norbes is a consultant? That makes no fucking sense. He only going to put money in because Norbes is a partner. So when Gerald McCoy is listed in a lawsuit and probably going to take a deposition and end up speaking on this situation, he's going to be saying he was under the impression that Norbes was an owner. So if he's under the impression Norbes is the owner, or Smacker Beasley said that he was an owner, then that's just another layer of a outside person that put money in the URL that can say, look, and don't let Norbes be able to bring Harry on board. Don't let Norbes be able to be like, yo, let me holler at Harry and get Harry to speak on the situation too. Because that also could be a potential another layer. But we'll leave Harry out of that because I haven't heard anything about that. They're not going to be able to prove Norbes is a consultant, and they're not going to be able to prove a reason why Norbes will put money up. Norbes has paperwork and receipts of money that he put up. I'm looking at the lawsuit. I'm looking at the money Gerald McCoy put into these events. The only reason why he doing that is because, yo, bro, I talked to Gerald McCoy the other day. He was like, yo, me and Norbes are family. Family, bro. He's the only reason why Norbes is the only reason why he would even invest any money into a Smack volume. He would never do that. I met Gerald McCoy at a guerrilla warfare event. So he still fuck with me to this day. I was talking to him recently. So that consulting shit ain't gonna work. The third reason, the timing of this lawsuit and his being let go is terrible for URL, bro. URL basically signed on with Caffeine at the beginning of the year, and then they do the Genesis card. That's like right after the press conference and everything. They do the Genesis card. At the Genesis event or the day before the event, him and Twerk get into it, Norbes and Twerk. They let Norbes go. The timing of letting Norbes go and the money that came out saying that Caffeine raised $113 million looks too coincidental. That's why I asked Norbes that in his Untold Truth.
Do you feel like you being dissolved of right around the Caffeine situation is a coincidence?
No, I don't.
All of that to me is too coincidental, and I think if I'm a judge and I'm looking at the situation, you mean to tell me a dude was with you for 10 years, build up this company, you sign on with a bigger company, and now they got a fight that wasn't even no legal shit. There was never any cops involved in this fight, so it's not even a legal matter. You mean a regular scuffle between like some two guys that just have a disagreement or whatever? You want to let all that go? Or do you want to cut them out of the money? If I'm a judge, I'm seeing right through what's going on. And I think if this is what URL should have done. The timing is terrible. I think it's going to work against them. The consultant thing ain't going to work at all. The interviews are definitely going to fuck URL. What URL should have done, when I first talked to Norbes, I interviewed Norbes before he filed his lawsuit. I interviewed him. That's why it's like different settings and different t-shirts and stuff that Norbes got on. I had to go back and interview him again when the lawsuit came out. When I first interviewed Norbes, he was hurt that the URL let him go. He was bothered. He didn't even want to sue him. He didn't want to do all that. He just wanted to work it out. URL could have cut Norbes a check for probably $250,000 and he probably would have kept it moving. You know, he just wanted to provide for his family, do whatever the case may be. Now it's been a lot of fallout. They didn't, his whole YouTube channel is private now. So that basically means that whoever was helping him run the war report has went into the channel, made all the videos private, fucked up his money that he might have been monetized on YouTube, changed the passcode. He can't even get into the YouTube account anymore. So it's not, and then Norbes is telling me like he got an email anonymously that said karma is a bitch after this happened. There is really like, this then became a situation where they had a chance to probably give Norbes some crumbs and he probably would have took it. Because Norbes ain't living bad, or I'm not saying like he really like had to have the money, but I think like sometimes when you like, do I want to sit through 6 or 7 or 8 months or even more than that due to COVID? This may not be resolved for a year or two. Do I want to sit through all of this? Or do I just want to take this little bit of money right now and keep it moving? $250,000 sound really good in your bank account, especially when you ain't got much in it at the time. But now it's like you really want to open the books and let people see how many people are subscribed to the URL app. That's really what you want to do? No. You really want to see how much you paying these ballers and how much caffeine? URL got an event every week, every other week. They got an event. Where the money coming from? It's definitely coming from caffeine. It's definitely coming from the app. URL making so much money. They have battles where they not even charging you to get in or charging you at all. They like, you know what? This is an app-only event. We're not even selling tickets. This is before COVID. They was doing events and they weren't even selling tickets or even trying to do pay-per-view. URL wanted to be greedy. Before they got with caffeine, they could have done pay-per-view for all these Smack volumes. They could have done pay-per-view for even app-only events. They wasn't doing that shit. URL was doing app-only events and letting niggas and put it on the app for free. I'm not saying for free because you paying $7.99, but they could have been taxing you on top of the $7.99. And some fools would have probably bought all of that shit. But they didn't even do that. That just lets you know how much money the app is making for them. They didn't even do that. So I really feel like, man, they should have paid Norbes $250,000. They didn't do it. And I feel like now, I don't think URL and Norbes is worth that much money. But I do feel like, I mean, I could see Norbes getting over $1 million or $2 million off this whole situation, when probably he could have probably just got like 20% of that and kept it moving. None of this would have been in the news. Chris Unbias, Norbes Untold Truth may have never came out. If you would have paid Norbes off, you could have signed a non-disclosure agreement where he couldn't talk about nothing. Then he wouldn't even be able to even do the interview with me. But you didn't even do that. So this shit just got messy. This is what I be saying about egos, bro. It got to a point where egos really made people feel like, you know what? I didn't do this. You know, we don't need this. We don't need that. We're not doing this. We're not caving. We're not nothing. But I really don't see a way that URL doesn't pay Norbes some money. And I don't mean like no $5,000-$10,000. I mean some real significant amount of money to where Norbes is going to be comfortable. That's just my thoughts, man. Y'all let me know, man. Chris Unbiased. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Y'all have a happy new year, man. Happy holidays. Stay blessed. Holla at your boy.
You too, it's the third and last trip. Welcome. At 814, meet X20.